Now where should I begin with Incredibles 2? The Incredibles 2 is the sequel to The Incredibles, the Disney film that was made in 2004, and people have been waiting 14 years for the sequel, and it has finally came out. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I thought that this film would be the greatest sequel to any Disney film ever made. And it was the greatest sequel to any Disney film ever made, but by a slim chance, because all Disney films sequels are crap. So the reason I thought that this was the best Disney sequel ever made is because it really was, but the reason it got by a slim chance was because how obvious the villain was, but it was still really good in the sense without, if they could have added more, like Syndrome, he was probably the best villain in Disney's history, because you just get, even beating Marvel's villains, and Marvel has pretty good villains, he has the backstory, he has the motivation, he has everything. We get the littlest bit of her backstory and it's not that good, and we don't even really see the full extent of it. It's not that good. So the villain is Evelyn Devore, the brother of Winston Devore. Winston Devore, he's the guy that's trying to get supers back into the spotlight, and she's pretending to help him, which she kind of is helping him, but then she uses her mind controlling vision power thing because she's really smart, so she makes TVs hypnotise people and all that. And so she uses that on the supers so that they can't get legalised or anything like that. And her reasoning behind this is her father died because he never called the police when her house was broken into, and instead he just waited for the supers, and the supers never came. Now that is probably one of the stupidest reasons to become a Disney villain I've ever heard. And the brother is the villain because the brother was young and he doesn't really remember this. All he remembers is supers and saving the day, and he wants them back. And she remembers this, and it just makes her want them to not ever come back, ever. So she tries to sabotage it, doesn't work, hit Incredibles, all the superheroes to save the day. Bunch of new superheroes were introduced to this, but they weren't important at all in the film, in the grand scheme of things. They were the littlest side characters you could have ever got from such a big screen production like that. Films like the X-Men, you get side characters and they're really involved in the story, but for this, they were not involved in the story at all. I think they got like 10 or 20 minutes of screen time, and that is just split throughout the movie at different parts, and you only really see them at the halfway through the beginning and from halfway to the end. So you just see them at the start, at the end, and that is really all you get for these new superheroes and all that. And that's just, it's just, why wouldn't you give them more input in this? Like, why wouldn't you put them in more scenes and all that? Because you could have put in a scene like them saving the day and all that, and that would have made it so much better, but they didn't, and that's what just really annoyed me with this movie. Now in The Incredibles 2, there's only 3 things that annoy me about this film. The villain, the side characters, and number 3, which is Jack's powers. Not actually Jack himself, he's really funny in this film, but the powers, it makes no sense. There's never been a super with over 1 or 2 powers. I don't even know if there was one with over 2 powers. Now he has 17 powers, he can turn into a monster, he sneezes and he rockets up and all that. He has laser eyes, interdimensional travel, and it just blows my mind because that's so many powers in the one being, and there's never been a film who has had a being with over like 10 powers. 17. I think they were just trying to get some good laughs out of it. They did that very well, but why would you just give him 17 powers out of the blue? Like, we knew he had powers and all that in the last film, which was actually the best part in that film, one of the best. But they just exploited it in this film, and it didn't make any sense at all. How can he have 17 powers? How? It makes no sense, and that just really annoyed me about this movie. But enough of the stuff that annoyed me, I'm going to talk about the stuff that I found great. So one of the bits that I found best in this movie was actually how Mr. Incredible had to look after the kids, and it just got really funny from that. Like, they keep changing math, all that stuff. It was just so funny, and I recommend you watch this film. But it's not out in the UK, it's out in the US. I watched it somehow, I'm not going to tell you how, but it's not out in the UK yet. If you want to watch it, it comes out July 13th, but it's a great movie if you just get rid of all the bad stuff, which is like 15 minutes or more, probably the whole movie. But it is a good movie. I would say it is the best Disney sequel of all time, and I stick to that completely, 100%. That was just really funny, the connection between Edna Mode and Jack Jack, because she's obsessed, or I think she is very fascinated by superpowers, and that Jack Jack, 17 powers, I mean, come on. And the one, that just made it better, and I think the connection between them, it didn't make it better actually. I told you it made it worse because it did. But the connection between Edna Mode and Jack Jack, it was the best thing throughout the film in my opinion. And I really like this film, but there's just a few problems, and I feel like they could have made it better in that way, in that retrospect. That was my review on The Incredibles 2. If you would like to watch it, it comes out July 13th here, and it came out June 15th in America. So yeah, that's all for me today, and bye guys, that was